Arizona's desert landscape is no stranger to extreme weather, but what happened in Tucson on September 3rd was a reminder of just how deadly flash floods can be in the American Southwest.
Increasing. That's Thursday, Friday. So today, I guess you could call it the calm before the storm, right? As we take a look at what you can expect over the next couple of days, it sure is going to be interesting Thursday, Friday with the increasing storm chances. So what could that mean? Certainly going to mean thunderstorms impacting us. With those thunderstorms, we see gusty winds, we see localized flooding could be possible tomorrow, and also some heavy rain. With this, we're also going to get a
The National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning for Pima County that afternoon, and what followed was a textbook example of how quickly desert storms can turn from distant thunder into life-threatening torrents of water. We're talking about a weather phenomenon that kills an average of 4 people every year in Arizona alone. And September 3rd showed exactly why these warnings should never be ignored. The numbers tell the story of just how intense this storm system was. Doppler radar detected thunderstorms producing heavy rainfall across the extreme northeast portions of the Tucson area, with radar estimates showing between 0.75 and 1.30 inches of rain falling into the Agua Caliente and Tanque Verde Creek watersheds. That might not sound like much to someone living in a wetter climate, but in Arizona's desert environment, this amount of rainfall in such a short period creates the perfect conditions for catastrophic flooding. What makes Arizona flash floods particularly dangerous is the unique geography and climate of the Sonoran Desert. The arid, sparsely vegetated environment has little capacity to absorb rainfall. When storms dump large amounts of water onto the hard-packed desert floor, the runoff moves rapidly through narrow canyons and steep terrain. In many areas, even small storms can turn normally dry washes and creeks into raging torrents of water in a matter of minutes. The September 3rd event was focused on some of the most flood-prone areas in the Tucson region. The warning specifically mentioned life-threatening flash flooding along drainages that feed into Agua Caliente Creek and Tanque Verde Creek. These aren't just random waterways, they're part of a network of washes that can channel enormous amounts of water through populated areas when the conditions are right. The locations mentioned in the warning read like a who's who of Tucson's most vulnerable flood zones. Agua Caliente, wash from Soldier Trail to Fort Lowell, Wentworth Road at Tanque Verde Wash, Tanque Verde Loop Road at Tanque Verde Wash, and Limberlost Road from Soldier Trail to Homestead Avenue. These are all areas where residents and emergency responders know to expect trouble when the storms roll in. Tucson itself, along with Tanque Verde and Seven Falls, were all in the direct path of the flooding threat. Seven Falls, in particular, is an area with a tragic history when it comes to flash floods. The Tanque Verde Falls area has been the site of multiple flood-related fatalities over the years, including a devastating incident in July 1981 when 8 people drowned in a flash flood. To understand why this September 3rd event was so dangerous, we need to look at the broader context of Arizona's monsoon season. The North American monsoon typically runs from mid-June through the end of September, bringing moisture up from the Gulf of California and the Gulf of Mexico. During this period, the normally dry desert air becomes dense and humid as air currents bring in new moisture from the south. This creates the perfect setup for what meteorologists call pulse storms, intense, localized thunderstorms that can dump several inches of rain in just an hour or two. The September 3rd storm was a classic example of this phenomenon, with radar showing heavy rainfall concentrated in a relatively small area of northeast Tucson. The timing of the warning, issued in the afternoon and set to expire 3 hours later, also tells us something important about these storms. They often develop in the late afternoon and evening hours when surface heating from the desert floor helps fuel convective activity. The 3-hour warning window might seem short, but for flash floods in Arizona, that's actually a relatively long lead time. What makes flash floods so deadly in Arizona is their speed and unpredictability. A flash flood can travel miles beyond the storm that generated it, catching unwary hikers, drivers, and residents by surprise. The majority of flood-related deaths in Arizona are from people attempting to drive through flooded roadways. Just 6 inches of water can knock over an adult, and as little as 1 foot of water can move a vehicle. 2 feet of moving water can easily carry a vehicle away. The September 3rd warning emphasized the immediate danger to urban areas, highways, streets, and underpasses. This is particularly concerning because many people underestimate how quickly Can accumulate in these areas. Tucson's urban landscape includes numerous washes and drainage channels that can fill rapidly during heavy rainfall. What looks like a harmless puddle can quickly become a dangerous torrent. The storm system that hit Tucson on September 3rd was part of a larger pattern of monsoon activity that had been building across southern Arizona. In the days leading up to the event, the National Weather Service had been tracking scattered thunderstorms developing across the region, with particular concern about heavy rainfall and flash flooding potential.
Tropical storm Lorena. We just got it in from the NHC as of the 11 a.m. advisory. So here is the latest. We have winds at 45 miles per hour. It's moving northwest at 14, so a fairly good clip in the forward motion. We're anticipating this to continue to strengthen as the water temps are really warm. And this is also new as of the new advisory from the 11 a.m. from NHC. They've upped the intensity. So Lorena, as of the last look, was projected to not only get named, but maybe top off around 70 miles per hour for the wind speed. Now the NHC is upping that forecast to 80 miles per hour. So now we're anticipating that this will eventually become a hurricane come midweek. Landfall, similar time frame. It's going to be this weekend as a weakening tropical system, but that means that we're in for a lot of rain for Baja and also for the mainland of Mexico, and that automatically is going to bring in a huge potential when it comes to mudslides and landslides. This is easily over a foot of rain that's going to be dropping on top of Mexico. So here's a look at the move forward here. So again, with heavy rain being one of the largest concerns, because this will be a weakening tropical system when it makes landfall this weekend on Baja, we got to really focus on that tropical moisture. The biggest hit is going to be Mexico, but then as we move into Sunday and early next week,
this fits into a broader trend that meteorologists have been observing in recent years. Climate change is supercharging the water cycle, creating more intense precipitation extremes and related flood risks. Among 144 U.S. cities analyzed in a recent study, 88% experienced an increase in hourly rainfall intensity between 1970 and 2024. Arizona, despite its reputation as a dry state, is not immune to these changes. The data on flash flood warnings in Arizona is particularly striking. As of July 2025, there had been 59 flash flood warnings in Arizona that year, with 18 resulting in verified flash floods. Nationwide, Weather Service offices issued 3,160 flash flood warnings through July 16, 2025, the most for that period in any year since records began in 1986. What happened in Tucson on September 3rd also highlights the importance of understanding local flood history. The areas affected by this storm have seen similar events many times before. The Tonque Verde area, in particular, has a long and tragic history with flash floods. In addition to the 1981 incident that killed 8 people, the area has seen numerous other flood-related fatalities over the years. In 1998, Anton Backer, a 21-year-old, was swept over the Tonque Verde Falls when he drowned while trying to save a friend's dog that was caught in the current. In 2007, Timothy Hahn and Angela Noche drowned in Sabino Canyon during another flash flood event. These aren't just statistics, they're reminders that flash floods in Arizona are a deadly serious threat. The September 3rd event also demonstrates why Arizona has what's known as the stupid motorist law. This law makes drivers liable for the cost of their own rescue if they ignore barricades and drive into flooded areas. It might sound harsh, but it reflects the reality that emergency responders regularly risk their lives to save people who make poor decisions during flood events. The warning issued on September 3rd included specific safety advice that every Arizona resident should know by heart: turn around, don't drown when encountering flooded roads. Most flood deaths occur in vehicles. This simple message could save lives, but it requires people to actually heed the warning and change their behavior. Looking at the meteorological setup for the September 3rd storm, we can see all the classic ingredients for a dangerous flash flood event. The Doppler radar showed thunderstorms producing heavy rain in a concentrated area, with rainfall rates that exceeded the ground's ability to absorb the water. The focus on the Agua Caliente and Tonque Verde Creek watersheds meant that water from a wide area was being funneled into relatively narrow channels. The storm also occurred during what meteorologists call an active period of the monsoon. In the days following September 3rd, additional flood watches were issued for the region as moisture from Hurricane Lorena was expected to move northward into Arizona. This pattern of multiple storm systems affecting the same area in a short period can be particularly dangerous because the ground is already saturated from previous rainfall. The September 3rd flash flood warning in Tucson serves as a perfect case study for why flash flood preparedness is so important in Arizona. The storm hit during the peak of monsoon season, affected well-known flood-prone areas, and demonstrated how quickly conditions can deteriorate from merely wet to life-threatening. For residents of flood-prone areas like those mentioned in the warning, preparation isn't just recommended, it's essential. This includes having multiple evacuation routes planned, knowing where high ground is located, and most importantly, taking warnings seriously when they're issued. The 3-hour window might seem like plenty of time, but flash floods can develop much more quickly than that. The broader lesson from the September 3rd event is that flash floods in Arizona aren't just a summer inconvenience. They're a year-round threat that can turn deadly in minutes. The combination of intense rainfall, steep terrain, and hard-packed desert soil creates conditions where even modest amounts of precipitation can generate devastating floods.
All the debris piled up at the curb, logs over there, that's because a massive tree actually fell down onto this family's car and to their home. Now, this is just the one part of many parts of the valley that I visited today that felt the brunt of high winds and rain. I was out on the roads crisscrossing the valley all evening, from dust and flooding in the East Valley to debris on roadways. A tree flew out and actually blocked part of Baseline Road at 24th Street earlier tonight. We were there when police blocked that off. Then we made our way to North Phoenix when, where we're at now, a viewer called us after a massive tree fell on their car and home near Happy Valley Road. Now, she told me that she was actually just about to leave for work when she heard a massive crack, their tree out front crashing down on the car that she was about to drive.
We lived here for over like 21 years, and nothing like this has happened. And of course it has to happen today on my car.
There is still some good news here, though. Neighbors from this whole area, they came out, they went and they bought a chainsaw, broke it all down. You know, the house is going to be fine, maybe just some touch-ups here and there, maybe some new paint, but that is some good news tonight. How about that for another monsoon Monday, but a little bit more hope this time around. Lillian Donahue live in North Phoenix for Arizona Tonight.
Lillian, thanks. As we mentioned earlier, the storm's causing a
As Arizona continues to experience population growth, particularly in areas like Tucson that are susceptible to flooding, the importance of flood awareness and preparation only increases. New residents who aren't familiar with the desert's weather patterns may not understand how quickly conditions can change.
The thunder has been so loud. I have not heard that thunder that loud in a long time here in the valley, so it's really shocking to me. Now, I do want to show you what I've been showing everyone earlier, is this First Alert weather app, because it does give you a pretty good idea of the action that's also going on in this area. So that's where we're at, that little blue dot. You can see there's a lot of lightning icons surrounding us. This is a zoomed in shot, but it's also showing that our area where we're standing is in that orange kind of yellow spot. So that is when there's a little bit more heavy rain than light rain. And so that's something we've been noticing. Now, also the wind is picking up. I mean, my hair, it's a mess.
The September 3rd event serves as a reminder that in Arizona, respecting the power of water isn't just good advice, it's a matter of life and death. The flash flood warning that was issued for Tucson on September 3rd represents more than just another weather event. It's a window into the unique challenges of living in the American Southwest, where the desert's beauty comes with very real risks. Understanding these risks, preparing for them, and most importantly, heeding official warnings when they're issued is the difference between a dramatic weather story and a tragic one. For those living in or visiting Arizona during monsoon season, the message is clear. When the National Weather Service issues a flash flood warning, it's time to take action. Find high ground, avoid flooded roads, and wait for the all clear. In the desert, water might be scarce most of the time, but when it comes, it demands respect.